Okay, this is the Krytac LMG limited edition. Basically, I'm gonna be taking it down, showing you the ins and outs of it, letting you see all the nooks and crannies. I already went ahead and took out the two pins in the front and in the back, slid it out. It slides apart just like a normal M4 AEG. It just slides right in and out. The only thing you have to be really careful on is, like, I made the mistake, and as a tech, I normally just open it up, slide it right out really fast. There is the manual, and the manual does tell you that you have to be very, very, very careful with this piece right here. Unfortunately, I didn't read the manual thoroughly. I just saw that it opens up just like a normal M4 AEG, that I pulled it apart so quickly that it broke it in half. I don't know if you can see that there, but I crazy glued it back together, which I'm just gonna probably, like, sand it down a little bit and make it look all nice again. But yes, as you can see, it broke it in half. So any of you are thinking about upgrading, doing your self-tech and stuff like that, you might want to be careful when you open it. What you got to do is you got to slowly pull it forward until it lines up just like that. It's going to stop on its own right there. This part right here lines up with this line right here. Then you open it up just slightly so that you can actually hold that pin down just a little bit, then slide it right out, so it doesn't do that chop effect like what happened to me. But all in all, it opens up really great, real easy. Nothing too fancy except for that piece. Let's remove the buffer tube. As you can see, I opted to use Dean's because I really don't like Tamiya's. I'm sorry. I mean, Dean's is a little bit more superior. I have better connection, so I know a lot of you probably feel the same way. I did keep the fuse because it's an automotive fuse. It's very, very superior compared to the other type of fuse that's being used. You don't need it. You can just run it straight through, but I chose to keep it on there because they did all this work to make it look beautiful. Might as well keep it. This is a very, very cool feature that they added. I mean, it's very simple. It's nothing major. It's just that I noticed that the motor connectors have extra padding onto it so that you actually have leverage when you put the connectors onto the motor, or when you take them out, you actually have something to hold on to. It's actually a really nifty feature. I mean, they actually spend a lot of time putting extra shrink wrap on this sucker so that, actually no, there's like a clear plastic insulation inside, and then the shrink wrap. It's actually pretty cool. I mean, I like it a lot. As a tech, I probably wouldn't have thought of doing that because it's very time consuming and it's just extra material, but that's what makes this a very superior product. Okay, since it's an ambidextrous selector, that means you have to remove the selector on the right side so that you can actually slide the gearbox out. Lastly, okay, now slide it between safe and semi. This thing will slide forward. There you go. Comes right off. Just like the CBR You can see the Mosfet system right here in the back, the ambidextrous selectors on both sides, and it's proprietary selector plate with gear. If you guys didn't know, I will explain this once I put it back together. See this little notch right over here? Right here. Let me try to zoom in on that real quick. Let's move forward a little bit. Okay, see this notch right here? This little piece is a guide. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this notch right here when you're putting it back together. You see how it lines up right there where this points up? You line that up when you're going to put this thing back together, so you have a guide on where to start off, so that it's gonna be exactly where it's supposed to be every time when you put it back together. See how they line up? It's like, it's really nifty that they did that for us, because if not, you're gonna be wondering how to put it back up, put it back in there. So many attempts with like the SCAR and the ACR, well, some, not really the ACR, but like mostly the SCAR. Nightmares, lots of nightmares. Okay, there you go. Inside of LMG Krytac. Let me just release some of the springs here so that we can take this out, and then we can actually take a look inside and see how it did for that one day that we had it out. I mean, there's, of course, like it's a support gun, and you're gonna be firing a lot of full auto, but the only wear I see so far is the first tooth. Oops, sorry, let me get that correct. Right there. I mean, if you can see that, it's pretty much, I mean, it still has a grip to be able to go, but it's gonna end up needing to be replaced. But that's actually pretty good because it didn't break. That means that it was actually taking up a lot of beating. It's actually pretty good. Let's see. Take a look at the gears. You know what? After opening it, I thought I was very intimidated by it, but after having it open and just looking at it, it's just like a normal standard AEG. I mean, there's really nothing intimidating about it. I mean, you see the Mosfet sticking out, and you're like, oh crap, the Mosfet's there. Oh god, it must be really complicated inside. But no, it's not. It has a standard switch, just like a normal AEG. It has the 3 gears, just like a normal AEG. The only difference is that the Mosfet system's right here, mounted in the back. It's not in the middle of the harness in the buffer tube where you normally would find a Mosfet system, or most plug and play would be connected on there to the Dean's or Tamiya connectors, and then you plug your battery into it. And this is actually pretty awesome. They actually have this here. I don't know if you can see that. Let me actually like zoom right in. Okay, this right here, it's pretty nifty. Look at that. Look at that. Let me see if the other side has it. Nope, the other side doesn't have it because it's actually one solid piece. But if you're a tech and you put a new custom wiring through a gearbox, this channel right here is a nightmare because the wires won't stay put. The gears will grind up on it. It will cut up the wire. Just having this, like the simple things, the simplest little things, like this plastic right there. Bam. Wires hidden. Motor can go in, and it won't do any damage. That is actually pretty cool. I like that a lot. Very simple. It's a slightly innovative so that you don't destroy your wires. These gears are really beefy. They're really beefy. Okay, I'm gonna take this moment to actually call Beast and actually have him come take a look at this gearbox because I don't think he's opened one up yet.
Okay, so now that Arnold did the hard part and took it all apart, really doesn't look much different than any other standard gearbox shell, other than obviously it's very beefy, very heavy duty. Obviously we've got the Mosfet there. Looks like a pretty solid anti-reversal latch. I like the way that's built in there. Anybody who does a lot of teching on airsoft guns knows how difficult these can be to replace, to put the shell back on. So looks like they've actually mounted that in there in such a way that it's not going to pop loose like they normally do. Switch looks very standard. Gears heavy duty but all standard. So looks like it's really well put together. The thickness of the metal in the shell is pretty impressive as well, along with, I think even in the video that I did on the CRB, noticing just the little details like covering this nylon braid over the wiring, lots of extra shrink wrap in there, shrink tube all over the place to try to enforce some of the delicate parts, and even like Arnold mentioned on the motor connectors as well. So so far I'm very impressed. Looks like it's pretty well put together.
So now that we've seen the inside and we've seen how the inside of the gearbox work and what kind of secrets or tricks that they have to make this gearbox awesome, we're gonna put it back together. Okay, like I talked about earlier, this thing broke off. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. It has no real function whatsoever. I'm just surprised how it broke off when I was taking the upper and lower receiver off. I crazy glued the sucker back on, which is not a big deal. And if it breaks, it breaks. I mean, it really has no real function except that it's just gonna sit here and look pretty. So if it breaks again, it breaks again. There's really nothing much I can do about it. I mean, it has nothing. It really absolutely does nothing. Oh, I know exactly why it broke off. Okay, as soon as you're pulling it off, this part right here is gonna catch. And I guess I didn't notice it because I just, like, as a tech, I normally just slide it right off. Well, I guess, as you can see, it got close and it just chopped it. So you have to be really careful with that. So I guess you're gonna have to like put it in slide this in ahead of time, and kind of like slide this sucker right over. Just give it enough gap in between. I don't know if you can see that. Let me lower that. So give it enough gap in between. There you go. As it falls, just drop it in and then slide it in. As soon as I saw that, I already automatically knew what was the problem. I was like, oh, shoot. It was like a guillotine. It just chopped it up. And there you have it. That was the complete breakdown and put back together of the gearbox of the Krytac LMG. Thanks for watching.